Africa, the land of safaris, starving children, and tribal dancers, right? Yeah. No. That's the image many of us were fed growing up, through textbooks, headlines, and Hollywood movies. But that version of Africa, it's not just outdated, it's wildly inaccurate. Africa's not one thing. It's not one culture, and it is definitely not one big desert where people live in huts and chase lions for fun. In this video, we're going to take a wrecking ball to the most stubborn and most ridiculous myths about Africa. Because it's time to unlearn the things we thought we knew and maybe replace them with facts that actually matter. So if you're curious, confused, or just ready to stop embarrassing yourself at dinner parties, stick around, and don't forget, if this kind of myth-busting, culture-debunking content is your thing, hit that subscribe button. You'll get stories from around the world that are surprising smart, and usually not what you'd expect. Let's get into it. Myth 1. Africa is a country. This is the most common and most facepalm-worthy misconception. Africa is not a country, it's a continent, made up of 54 countries. Yes, 54, each with its own governments, languages, currencies, histories, and cultures. To lump them all together is like saying Europe is a country, or Asia, or South America. You wouldn't say that. So why do it with Africa? It's massive too. Africa could fit the United States, China, India, and most of Europe inside its borders. So next time someone says, "I went to Africa," maybe gently ask them, which part? Myth 2. Most Africans live in huts. This one's straight from colonial era National Geographic, and it's still stuck in people's heads. Yes, some rural communities in Africa still build traditional homes out of mud thatch or wood. But most Africans, they live in cities, in houses, apartments, skyscrapers. Lagos. Nigeria is a megacity with over 20 million people. Cape Town has some of the most expensive real estate in the world. Nairobi, Accra, Kigali, all growing tech hubs with glass towers, high-rises, and freeways. The idea that Africa is one giant village with thatched roofs, it's lazy and wrong. Myth 3. Africa is poor. Let's talk money. Is there poverty in Africa? Absolutely. But is all of Africa poor? Not even close. Africa is home to some of the fastest growing economies on Earth. Nigeria has a GDP of over $500 billion. South Africa's stock exchange is one of the oldest and largest in the world. And countries like Rwanda and Ethiopia have doubled their GDPs in just a decade. There's also a huge middle class, especially in countries like Kenya, Ghana, and Morocco. People shop in malls, they use mobile banking, they invest, build, and hustle like anyone else. But here's the kicker. A lot of Africa's poverty, tied directly to colonization, exploitation, and shady international trade deals. So yeah, Africa's not poor. It's been looted. Myth 4. Africans don't use technology. Spoiler alert. You're more likely to pay with your phone in Kenya than in the US. M-Pesa, a mobile money service in East Africa, lets people send, save, and spend money by SMS. No bank account, no credit card, just a phone, even a flip phone. In Nigeria, fintech is booming. In Ghana, startups are creating drone delivery for rural medical supplies. Rwanda, they've got robots in hospitals. While the world was laughing at African internet speeds, Africans were building leapfrog tech solutions. The West is only just starting to adopt. So no, Africans aren't behind. In many ways, they're ahead. Myth 5. Africa has no modern cities. This one's easy to debunk. Just Google Johannesburg skyline or Abidjan at night. Africa has dozens of urban powerhouses with millions of people, public transport, universities, tech parks, and yes, traffic jams. In fact, Lagos, Nigeria is set to become the most populous city in the world by 2100. That's right, bigger than Tokyo. The image of dusty roads and camels is cute, but it's outdated by about 80 years. If your jaw has dropped at least once, now is a great time to hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, it only gets more surprising from here. Myth 6. Everyone in Africa speaks African. First off, there is no such language as African. Africa is home to over 2,000 distinct languages, not dialects, actual languages. Swahili, Amharic, Hausa, Zulu, Wolof, Akan, Yoruba, Berber. And yes, English, French, Portuguese, Arabic. Thanks, colonizers. Some countries have 2 or 3 official languages. Others have dozens. South Africa, 11 official languages, just in that one country. So no people in Africa don't speak African. That would be like saying Europeans speak European. Myth 7. Africa is all hot and desert. This one's baked into bad geography lessons. But Africa is not just sand and sun. Yes, the Sahara is real and massive, but Africa has snow, mountains, tropical rainforests, beaches, volcanoes, and everything in between. You can ski in Lesotho, get caught in a thunderstorm in Uganda, freeze on Mount Kilimanjaro, or sunbathe in Cape Verde. Africa covers every climate zone on Earth except tundra. So if your mental image is just lions and dust, you're missing the full picture. Myth 8. Africa is dangerous. Don't go to Africa. It's not safe. We've all heard it, usually from someone who's never been there. Yes, there are dangerous places, just like there are in the US, in Brazil, in France, in literally every country on Earth. But most of Africa? Safe, vibrant, and full of people, just living their lives. Tourists walk the streets of Kigali at night. Cape Town has wine tours. Accra throws some of the best parties on the planet. So let's stop pretending the entire continent is a war zone. It's insulting and wildly inaccurate. Myth 9. Africans are all the same. This one's subtle, but sneaky. When people talk about African culture, they're usually imagining one version. But with 54 countries, over 3,000 ethnic groups, and thousands of languages, there's no one African identity. North Africa has more in common with the Middle East than with parts of West Africa. East African cuisine is completely different from what you'll find in the South. West Africa has hundreds of tribal traditions that don't exist anywhere else. It's like comparing Swedish folk music to flamenco, then calling it European music. It makes no sense. Africa is not a monolith. It's a mosaic. Myth 10. Hollywood gets it right. Spoiler alert. No. No, it doesn't. Hollywood has fed the world a steady diet of jungle drums, warlords, barefoot children, and starving villages for decades. And the problem isn't just what's shown, it's what's not shown. Rarely do we see African doctors, architects, poets, scientists, or normal everyday people just living their lives. Instead, Africa is a backdrop, a vibe, a setting for someone else's story. That representation, or lack of it, shapes how billions of people see the continent. And it's one reason why videos like this exist. To fix the picture, frame by frame. Myth 11. Africans don't travel. Think Africans don't travel? Try getting a visa with an African passport. African citizens face some of the toughest travel restrictions in the world. Not because they don't want to travel, but because of deeply unfair visa systems. Some countries require intense interviews, bank statements, letters of invitation, all for a basic tourist visa. And still, many Africans travel for school business adventure or just to explore. They're everywhere, running startups in Berlin, studying in Toronto, building lives in Dubai. The problem isn't mobility, it's bureaucracy. Myth 12. Africa relies on foreign aid. We've all seen the commercials. Sad music flies on faces, just 30 cents a day. But here's the truth. Africa gives far more than it gets. Multinational corporations extract billions in resources, oil, gold, diamonds, cocoa, coffee, every single year. In fact, according to multiple reports, Africa loses more money through illicit flows and tax avoidance than it receives in aid. So no, Africa isn't dependent, it's being drained. The question isn't, how can we help Africa? It's why do we keep taking from it? Myth 13. Africans don't invent things. Think all innovation happens in Silicon Valley? Think again. Africans have been creating for centuries, from ancient medical knowledge to modern mobile tech. In Nigeria, teens built generators that run on urine. In Malawi, a 14-year-old built a windmill from scrap parts to power his home. In South Africa, an inventor created a completely solar-powered school. Africa is full of inventors, designers, and problem solvers. But because their names aren't in Western headlines, people assume the innovation doesn't exist. It does. You just haven't seen it yet. Myth 14. Africans are waiting to be saved. This one's baked into Western savior narratives. But the truth? Africans aren't waiting for handouts. They're creating solutions. From grassroots movements to global organizations, Africans are driving change, not waiting for it. Women in Senegal are tackling climate change through reforestation. Communities in Uganda are building their own schools. Startups in Kenya are redefining what financial freedom looks like. Africa doesn't need saving. It needs equity and visibility. Myth 15. Africa has no history. This one's the most damaging of all. The lie that African civilizations had no written records, no empires, no architecture, no achievements. False. The University of Timbuktu in Mali housed over 700,000 manuscripts. The Kingdom of Kush built pyramids, more than Egypt. Great Zimbabwe had stone cities. Ethiopia's Aksum Empire was minting its own coins and trading across continents. Africa's history is vast, sophisticated, and powerful. It's just been ignored. But that's changing now, because people are reclaiming their stories, one fact at a time. So, what's the point of all this? Africa is not a country. It's not a stereotype. And it's definitely not a blank canvas for outsiders to define. It's dynamic, diverse, and deeply misunderstood. The next time someone says something that doesn't sound quite right about Africa, ask them where they learned it. Chances are, it's time they unlearned it too. If this opened your eyes, hit that subscribe button. There's a whole world of myths to debunk, and we're just getting started. See you in the next one.